Data protection and privacy teams are under more pressure than ever with new laws, AI oversight, data breaches, and the constant expectation to do more with fewer resources.
That's why TrustArc built a modern privacy and data protection management platform powered by Arc Intelligence. It unifies your tools, automates the work that slows you down, and surfaces what matters most right when you need it.
From guided quick actions to our intelligent assistant, Ask Arc, you get credible, contextual answers backed by expert research, not generic AI guesses.
Finally, privacy that works the way privacy pros work.
Learn how TrustArc helps teams move faster with confidence at trustarc.com/serious-privacy. That's trustarc.com/serious-privacy.
You're listening to Serious Privacy, powered by TrustArc. Here are your hosts, Dr. Kay Royal and Paul Breitbart.
I never had thought that we would get to this stage, and yes, you have heard me say that before, but it's still true. Right now, you are listening to episode 200 of Serious Privacy. Almost 160,000 downloads in just 4.5 years remains mind-boggling for our little side project. And the most popular episode?
189 countries or something?
Something like that. The most popular episodes are still the ones on cookies, 2 of them, Trends 2, DPIAs and artificial intelligence, but we love almost all of them, even the early one. So for this week, we have invited 2 friends of the podcast to join us for the celebration. And I have no idea how today's episode will go, because the last time we recorded with these 2, I think we only talked about Star Wars and Maleficent. But who knows, maybe we actually get to talk some privacy this time, or throw in a recipe or 2.
That would Paul's warning to us to keep on topic.
My name is Paul Breitbart.
And I'm Kay Royal, and welcome to Serious or Not So Serious Privacy. Let's start with the unexpected question, because the guest that we have, y'all should be well familiar with. Ralph joins us quite often as our official, unofficial podcast host. Ralph O'Brien, and then Marie Pinot, who is probably our second most common person that we have featured on the podcast, depending on where we were. So we're going to go into the unexpected question, and let's see what that's going to... Oh, here we go.
Oh, hold your breath, people.
Okay, I looked at the first one, and then the second one, and then the third one, and they just get funnier as they go. So I'm going to go with the first one, although it's not as fabulous. I'm going to go there. We might do the second one, though. If you were a genre of music, what would you be? Now, the second one that I said, okay, that one's not as much fun. What song would be the anthem of your life?
Oh, my God. There's an old line from the personal ads that's kind of like, if you can sum up your personality in 18 words or less, essentially you don't have one.
Your whole Beatles back catalog.
I thought you were going to go with that whole joke my husband goes with, that what kind of music do you hate the most? And second, why country?
Yeah, right. Do you know what? I think there are good and bad kinds of all music. I'm an eclectic listener, you know? Anything from show tunes to death metal, right? So...
Can't go with death metal. Reinstein or whatever it is. No, not happening. Not this girl. Not happening. Which question do y'all want? The first one on the genre of music, or the second on what would be your anthem?
I can combine them.
Okay, let's do it. Go, Marie.
Okay, so it's hard because actually there are 2, but I can still combine them. So it's Renaissance music plus 80s rock, and then combine them. I think it's kind of called Medieval Bard or something, and play Alice Cooper Poison in that Renaissance genre.
In the Renaissance music. There we go.
That is
rock
eclectic too.
Yeah, rock music is always better when you add something symphonic to it, like, you know, November Rain by Guns N' Roses, or Nothing Else Matters by Metallica. So something heavy, but with soul, right? How's that?
Right. I like that. Something heavy with soul. So, all right then, Ralph, we're going to go. What song? Because we already got your genre, everything. What song would be the anthem of your life?
Oh, God, I don't know. It sounds oddly self-serving, but Somebody did say that the lyrics of What a Man by Salt and Pepper and En Vogue described me very, very well. So
I like that. There's no judgment passed here. I like Paul.
I have no idea. Genre of music, looking at who I am, probably would be something classical, but post-Baroque.
Okay.
I don't think I'm not that Baroque in personality, so it's a bit more tight and straight, so maybe more of the romantic period of the classical music.
Ooh, I like that. I like it. I thought Ralph was going to go
anthem?
with Sharp Dressed Man, so.
Oh,
But I
The
will
anthem
say
so
this-
far, probably Non je ne regrette rien from Edith Piaf.
oh
Ooh.
beautiful.
No regret.
See, Paul is just so Renaissance, so well-spoken, so planned. I'm probably going to go with genre music. I have to duplicate Marie, 80s rock, as long as it's not screaming metal, 80s rock or country. I do love my country. I'm just not allowed to listen to it with a screaming metalhead husband. But anthem of my life, I don't know that it's the anthem of my life, but the song that speaks most to me is Jack and Diane.
No, yeah, it's lovely.
You know, because it just has a really good rhythm to it. But if you actually listen to the words, it talks a good story too. Small town girl trying to get out of the city. Or I guess that's the point. She's not trying to get out of the city. But
And would you
that would be
qualify as
so.
a small town girl?
Oh God, yes. My hometown in Mississippi is Meridian, Mississippi. It and the surrounding area with a population of about 30,000. And I think it has actually shrunk since I was little. But technically, I'm not from Meridian. I literally lived in what's called a whistle stop. It's where the train stopped on the way into the town. And my whistle stop is Nellyburg, which only exists on a voter registration card.
Can I call you Nelly Bird, Kay?
No, you cannot. You cannot call me Nellyburg. But yes, small town girl. I spent 30 years of my life trying to get out of the South. And you have to understand, there's a big difference between the deep rural South and the rest of the South, which has modernized to some extent. I mean, Charlotte, North Carolina, the cities in South Carolina, Greenville is modern, Atlanta, Miami. You start looking at all of these other big cities, and a lot of the South is modernized, but the deep rural South, Mississippi, Alabama, little bits and pieces of some of the surrounding states never will. And then you also have the pocket. They're not called Deep South, but they're like the Appalachians, where some of them still don't have running water and electricity. They're so far removed. So we do have areas of it that really have never grown and modernized. So I fought for 30 years to get out of the South, and now I'm back.
Well, I'm from
Yeah.
Norfolk in the UK originally, which I guess is the Alabama of the UK, right? It's a small town
so
girl
Ralph,
as well. How's that?
There you go, right?
Russ,
But I will say
speaking
it's
about the UK.
interesting that when people talk about the South and the Deep South and different, it is beautiful. It is gorgeous. You talk about in the springtime with the gently rolling hills and everything blooms. The grasses, the trees, the bushes, everything's in bloom. It's absolutely glorious and beautiful. And it is a great place to raise your family away from the hustle and the bustle of the big cities and the dangers there. Running the fields and the streams and the hills. I mean, seriously, that's still the best way to raise wholesome outside activity focused kids, right?
Marie, you're a
So-
Renaissance girl in a Renaissance town, aren't you?
Yes, right. Whatever Kay just said resonates very much with why I moved back. But yeah, well, depending on when you ask, my town was actually the capital of Bavaria. But at the same time, Bavaria being kind of the digital no man's land, it's kind of hard.
Well, but it is also interesting, Mississippi, and a lot of people don't know this. It is the birthplace of the father of country music, Jimmy Rogers. It's the birthplace of the father of rock music, Elvis Presley. It's the birthplace of the father of typically what's considered jazz and blues, B.B. King. So, I mean, Mississippi did birth a lot of what America considers its culture when you look at music and everything. Or if it didn't birth it, we were the home where they claimed home anyway. So, as I'm going to say, we didn't have a lot set aside to talk about for this episode. No particular
No,
topic.
but I do have a question
mind.
for Ralph.
Okay.
Because,
Apparently, it's the Wild Wild West here.
well, when you talk about the 1980s and 80s music, we know that video killed the radio, right?
Were you even born?
I was born.
They killed the
But
radio
you know,
star.
video killed the radio star. But now in the UK, election killed the data protection bill.
Ah, there we go.
Oh,
Beautiful. What a segue.
yes.
smooth.
Okay. I won't give them such a hard time. So I was going to say, we have to spend part of the show talking about what are some of the recent happenings in privacy that we've seen. I think yet another state in the U.S. just passed an omnibus privacy law. We just had a indictment passed down of someone being found guilty of 34 felony counts. And apparently corruption only exists when you're on the losing side. So we will not talk anymore about that. We'll talk about the states. We actually had, there was something else that just happened too, big.
Well, as Paul was saying, they just called a general election here in the UK, and
On the 4th of
effectively
July?
I've rallied again. Yeah, on American Independence Day. Why not?
I heard about that. Yes.
Yes, and calling a general election basically means they do something called proroguing Parliament, which means that nothing can get done for a bit while they go on the election campaign.
Which is what we thought was going to happen this year in the U.S. And apparently we're just wham bam throwing privacy laws out there left and right.
But
Yeah,
your
I mean,
election
if
campaigns
I-
take 4 years, so
Yeah, I mean, if I would have taken bets on how many states in the US had a law, I would have been wrong this year because they're passing them left, right, and center.
Right. I was definitely wrong this year because I didn't think we would see any movement except for whatever hung over in January, which I expected 1 or 2. And we're up to 18, 19, something like that. We're going to look like the EU did under Directive 95 before long. It's going to be bonkers. So we will also bring everybody up to date on that. We promise, but just not in this episode. Other big things that have been happening. The Women in AI just had their first conference in Ireland, right? It was in Dublin? Yeah. I wish I could be over there. That was that
my
looked
good
fabulous.
friend Conor Hogan went as well as the honorary token male, of course.
Yeah, well, there we go. Well, I don't think women in AI intend to exclude men from supporting us, but I will say I stuck my foot into it a little bit in that there was a picture that Emerald posted of 4 ladies on stage. Each of them were blonde. I'm like, you know what? Forgive me for wanting to kick the teeth in the stereotypes, but isn't it phenomenal to see a conference on women in AI and the speakers are all not only women, but they're blonde women, which the stereotype would tell you they don't belong. And let's kick it in the stereotype.
Do you know what? I am sorry that all 3 of you missed my inaugural Blondes in Privacy event.
you are the only blonde one on the podcast as well.
I am getting a little lighter here, though, Ralph, as you can see my distinguished frosting from the temples here.
That's not blonde. Kate.
But
I won't
was
comment on
actually
other colors,
missing you
but that's not
guys
blonde.
at the I was missing you guys at the CPDP.
Oh, you did CPDP. How was
I
that?
did, and I was wondering where everybody was.
Yeah.
Working.
Stuck at work.
Sadly, client work got in the way, but I would have loved to have been there.
Yeah. But speaking of events and going, I am looking up plane tickets to get to the Global Privacy Assembly in Jersey. I have to make sure I have the correct airport, Isle of Jersey GB or something, I think it was listed.
Well, there's only
Airport
one. You
code
can't go wrong.
JER. Airport code
JER. Well, I
JER. There is only one international airport on Jersey.
And then I will look that one up, and I can definitely keep when it's happening in mind now because it's over Halloween.
Yeah.
So, Paul, I will bring some more American Halloween candy, which you should have seen the TSA agents in the airport freaking out at the amount of Halloween candy that I took last time. Some of them were little green monster marshmallows. Oh, and those were fabulous. They had little Hershey Kisses on the inside of them. Mm.
Well,
Nobody does sugar like America.
Yeah. Lots of fun stuff.
I look forward to your candy, Kay. And I will be the first to announce that I'm not even flying to Jersey. I am taking the scenic route, and I'm taking my car onto a ferry.
Ooh.
So close enough that I can
That's
take
great
the boat.
in October.
Oh, God, yeah.
Now, where is that? Because Paul did mention that I could fly into London and take a ferry over rather than flying over.
Yeah, you can take a ferry from, I think, Southampton or somewhere like
Southampton is
that.
easiest.
Yeah, on the south
Well,
coast.
if I'm going to stop over in the UK for a day or two, then it might be best to fly and take a ferry over. But Tim said he was not going to join me on this one, and then he looked up Jersey. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Okay.
Just
On to
remember, it's
privacy.
October. It's going to be gray and wet, but it will be a fantastic week. I'm just back from Jersey. We discussed the agenda, and it's going to be fabulous.
So, any other top of the news privacy happenings we need to discuss? I know IAPP came out with the AI study exam. I definitely want to take the AI GP. Ralph, I'm going to be hitting you up for any type of training tips you can share, and probably some you can't share that I can blackmail you for. We'll see which Ralph would never compromise his morals or his ethics for a friend to pass an AI test. Let's get that out there publicly. And then, Paul, I'll hit you up on what's wrong.
Well, just AI to take the exams. That's the answer, isn't it?
Well, that's the right. They probably have some way of blocking me from doing that. I actually am finishing an AI course through MIT. I had to have them restart the course for me because it's in certain cohorts, and I was too busy to finish because, whatever. I can't think of anything else really.
I do. There was one big investigation that was discovered by a Dutch newspaper, but has not been officially announced by said data protection authority. That is the Cyprus Data Protection Authority investigating Pornhub. They are based on Cyprus. There have been lots of complaints, not just about user data, but also about artist data, shall we call it, and how all of that is used and reused, illegal upload. And the Cyprus DPA has confirmed to the newspaper that they are investigating, but they're not willing to share further details, of course, pending the investigation. But that is one to look out for in the coming month, I would say, because I'm pretty sure that there will be some findings. And this is the first very big investigation for Cyprus.
I'm actually doing a presentation a little bit later in the year at Privacy Space in the UK about sort of the human relationship with sex and technology. So that's going to be quite fascinating because, you can guarantee that any new technology is going to be used in the field of sex first. As soon as AI hits, you're going to get
34, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, not only that, but the IoT things, the Internet of Things for devices that may actually be used in that as well, and what kind of data that collects. And I'm going to leave that right there because, as agreed, I am a deep Southern Bible Belt Baptist raised girl here, and I can't talk about some of this stuff without being raised.
Yeah, I mean, but it is interesting that actually, we have to be really careful when we say this in case we cause offense. But at the same time, these are really important elements of humanity that put vulnerable people at risk. So
they absolutely do.
Sorry,
go ahead.
They require talking about, and the people require protection in an area of their life that humans are always going to invest in.
Yeah, well, you can't sweep it all under the rug or put it behind closed doors. And when I was a nurse and did home hospice care, there were some horror stories. So.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I had a discussion very recently last week with somebody discussing AI, partners, girlfriends, boyfriends, whatever. So is the AI actually programmed to agree with you all the time? And would that actually make it boring? Or
I like someone who challenges me. Yeah, you're right.
Or can you have a fight with your AI?
My brain is wildly imaginative, people. I turn red because of what's going through this head, not what's coming in through the ears.
Aren't you happy this is an audio podcast and not a video podcast?
Yes. Yeah.
But honestly, Ralph, I do think it's an important topic to talk about at conferences.
It is.
And Marie, maybe it's even a topic also for the health data conference.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. And by the way, in CPDP, I can't remember the title exactly, but there was a topic on AI and the sex industry.
Right. Well, and they're really honest, as much as I may be turning red and blushing about it, it really is the sweeping it under the rug and behind closed doors that makes it such a taboo subject. And we all know that what's legal when it comes to sexual activity also depends on the culture and the norms of the place that you're in.
Absolutely.
Where one country might freak out. Another one of the examples I give is the German high court case on sexual harassment, where they actually came out and said there was no sexual harassment. The U.S. companies needed to quit pushing their prudish American ideas down on their population. So it really does vary. It doesn't even have to be incredible extremes.
And what some countries deem to be a celebration of love, others would deem to be degrading and pornographic content. A really good example is, the LGBT groups. And quite often we see in things like schools, for example, LGBT sites being blocked as sexual content. Whereas actually, those groups might need to go and find those sites in order to find support or to find guidance into who and what they want to be. So,
well, and things as simple as safe sex and practicing safe sex, if the schools do teach it, they sure usually don't teach it for same sex. And there are safe sex practices that you need to be following there as well. So it's a very critical topic. So interesting, very interesting there. It'll be interesting what the investigation comes out to play on Pornhub. I think there was another company as well, not just Pornhub.
Oh, no, it's the RedTube as well. But there's a bunch of them all located in Cyprus, all probably under the same owner or construction of companies that in the end result with the same owner.
Yeah.
So let's look back a
Absolutely.
little at 200 episodes of Serious Privacy. Marie, when I ask you what you are asked by somebody, hey, talk to me about serious privacy, what would you say?
It's a podcast of two of the most reputable data protection professionals, plus sprinkled over by Mr. Three-Piece Suits that knows everybody, that have serious topics on, except when I'm a guest.
Serious topics not taken seriously. That's
yeah, exactly.
Well, remember, I actually looked it up. It was 4 years ago in August.
Right.
And it was geeks invading the world, and
which people took as a soft topic, but was actually a very important one, is that given the stressors of our jobs, how do we find stress relief from these jobs? And do we have hobbies or interests outside privacy that actually help us balance our professional and our personal work lives? And the three of us actually do cosplay. Now, we may not do it full time or all the time, but we enjoy cosplay. We are self-acclaimed geek. We follow that. And so it was a lighthearted topic, but the lighthearted topic actually spoke to a deeper problem in the privacy field, and one that's going to become even more stressful and harder to manage as the U.S. gets closer to passing a federal privacy law, is how do we handle the stress of our job? We are all incredibly, incredibly busy. As Paul said, he couldn't get to a conference he wanted to go to because of client demands. I haven't been able to meet with Marie as often as we do because of the level of work. I actually just hired a new person in the United Kingdom for my team who used to work for the Labour Party, actually. So really, really enjoy Jordan as well. And so it's a case of we live at work, we breathe our work. We're very passionate about privacy and data protection. So even on our own time, it is a topic that we think about a lot, we engage in a lot. So it is tough balancing personal and privacy, or personal and professional, no bigger. It is tough balancing personal and professional lives, especially when you're in a profession. It's not a job, it's a calling. When you're in a profession like ours, where we are so passionate about what happens.
Well, perhaps it's time that I issued a sort of a deep and formal apology in that case, because, for those people that know me out of work, you'll know that this year I've been under very personal and professional stresses, and it's led me to go from spinning plates to dropping a number of them. And, we are humans, and, we only have so many hours in the day. We have to devote that to a work-life balance. There are families, there are relationships, there are clients we've got to keep happy. And, being human, Sometimes we drop the ball and we drop the ball badly.
We do. And we do feel it because we know that what we don't get done could have impact indirectly, hopefully, impact on individuals whose data may be being compromised or misused or miscollected. And we feel that if we could just run faster, further, that we could stop anyone from getting hurt from their data being misused or a bias coming out of AI or something. And yet we have to slow down and realize we are only human. We may be a superhuman or a supervillain or a superhero, whichever way you want to look at it, but we really are just human, and we can't be expected to fix all of the ills of the world.
The phrase I've often used to describe my 26, 27 years as a privacy professional now is, fighting the rear guard of a losing battle. But by God, we're going to fight.
We're going to chase them down.
Marie?
By God, we're going to fight.
This is also why, for example, for me personally, this is so important to go to conferences because, first of all, you see people. You're not that lone fighter that has to juggle DSARs and breaches and everything else and admin on top. That's kind of where you are. I don't like to call it group therapy. That's kind of, I don't see it that way. I know some conferences are that way. But yeah, that's kind of where you get your resource, you get your refuel, you're seeing familiar faces. And that's actually what kind of missed at the CPDP. I, in total, met 10 people I knew. That was like, to me, I'm not saying I know everybody, but like to me, that kind of has big address book in the privacy world. Was surprising.
Yeah.
But then again,
it was a new date, it was a new venue that also doesn't help. I think for CPDP, I really regret that they moved to May because January is so much easier to fit into a work schedule.
Easier? Yeah. Agreed. Absolutely. Well, and earlier when I was saying I'm looking at making plans to go to the GPA in Jersey, it means I'm going to have to not go to the Nordic privacy arena. Just simply because me hopping over from the US is not lickety split. And I have to take time off from work to do it. And we're not even talking taking a vacation day. It means I have to be away from work. I have to let things go that I'm not dealing with because I'm on a flight. Of course, it's a long flight and I could do VPN and internet. But hey, regardless, it means for the time that I'm there, I'm not at work getting things done. And let's be fair. Most of the time, our employers are not the ones cracking the whips on us, telling us, "Pop, y'all's might," since y'all are consultants. But for Paul and I, it's not a case of my work is saying, hey, you need to get more, faster, quicker, done, things like that. They understand. They may not understand the full load, but they understand, a work-life balance and they embrace it. It's me putting the pressure on myself to get work done. Now that it is no longer my job to be the voice of the company or to represent where, I'm representing a company who has to stay up to date on every single privacy activity every day and be able to advise clients what they should be thinking and doing. Right? Or trying to find new customers. Since I'm not that anymore, now I'm in the same position of everyone else. I have to figure out how to best stay on top of the hottest privacy news and what's happening and how to incorporate that into my company. And I have some of that I can do on work time because it applies to my company, but some of it doesn't. And
Paul,
yet I still need it for the podcast.
I was just thinking, if we're all at GPA this year, live recording, eh?
Yes, I'm looking at possibilities to get that done. So Marie should come over.
Marie, you should come over.
But yeah, there will be lots of people that we can interview.
Over
the final
Halloween.
Week of October.
Well, Halloween.
I have to look up the exact date so I can see when I fly, because apparently I don't have dates to fly on certain dates because their flights simply don't go to Jersey on those dates.
Yeah, they do go every day. There are multiple flights a day, but you should aim to arrive by Monday 28th.
Okay.
Yeah, but
arrive by Monday the 28th. Got it.
Yeah. Now to avoid disappointment, is always what I'd say, because there's only so many seats on so many flights
So the ferry may be a good option anyway. But it is. Let's look back over. So we've been doing this for 4.5 years now. We started before COVID shut everything down. The tone of the podcast, not the tone, the way the podcast was deployed completely changed from the way Paul and I imagined it in the beginning. And we went through 3 years of running it in a way that developed over time. Now we're changing that again since there are in-person visits. But thinking over 4.5 years, what has surprised you that has happened in the privacy world? And Paul, I'm going to come to you first. What has surprised you that has happened in the privacy world?
Well, the US becoming serious about data protection, not so much about privacy, but the privacy laws were always there, but introducing data protection law. And yes, I'm going to say it again, not applicable to everybody. It's still not a fundamental right. It's still only for local, but they are making progress. And I did not expect 4.5 years ago that we would be in a stage where almost 20 states have adopted their own legislation, which is largely similar to what we see around in the rest of the world. And I think that's big progress. The other one is how much progress Africa has made in developing data protection law and how vocal some of the regulators there are. When you look at Kenya, when you look at Burkina Faso, when you look at Morocco, South Africa coming up, I think that's also very impressive to see. And I had not expected that India and China would adopt omnibus privacy legislation.
I was going to say, I was going to throw China in there. So
I think China was a surprise for everybody, especially given the short introduction period. But it's no longer just Europe thinking this is an important topic. It's the whole world now considering this is an important topic. And we can all learn from each other. Europe is not the only leading voice anymore, which is a good thing.
Which is good. So, Marie, what about you? What has surprised you over the past 4.5, 5 years?
It has surprised me, for example, in the Brexit situation, that even though you've got adequacy, that at least, and this is a very European, very continental view of it, that you're not doing more in the UK to keep it. And I know I'm barking up the wrong tree, Ralph. You don't take it. I know your stance on it. I know how you're vociferous for the same reason. But yeah, it has surprised me
a lot by surprise. Yes, no doubt.
Surprised me. Shocked the hell out of me.
So what else has surprised you then, Ralph?
Or go ahead.
No, Marie, did you have more? Go ahead. Okay.
I can talk about the UK situation, so I'm blue in the face. And as we said at the start of this podcast, that I'm very grateful that the DPDI bill was finally killed by just the timing of the general election. But who knows what the next government might pick up, perhaps sleeping. Yeah, I mean, I think as Paul said, I think the globalization of data protection, yes, I know globally they kind of call it privacy, but actually they're really talking about data protection, protecting people from data harms that could or could not be privacy, right? So, that sort of globalization as the technology's advanced, as consumer technology has advanced. And what I think has really shocked me as well is the way that we can pass all the laws we like, and then it takes company to pass a new feature or a new product that can possibly be even more successful than a law or a regulation. When someone says, do not track on the mobile phone, for example, the power these large technology providers have to affect change,
right?
The stability we need to then place upon them. So for me, moving from data protection as a legal contractual thought process to one of a technology design process.
Right.
That's where my thinking's really evolved. I was one of these, sort of data protection people who'd be like, yeah, we'll write a contract, we'll write a policy, we'll write a privacy notice. But now I'm thinking, what features can we add into the technology that can protect people from day one without them having to do anything? Right?
Right.
Much more a by design approach.
Yeah, so much more a technology by design approach rather than a sort of a legal post data collection approach.
Yeah, Apple is very much a building the privacy into the hardware or the software by design approach, whereas Google, and this comes from me analyzing the information governance capabilities of Google, Apple, and Microsoft, And one of the things that really struck me as the more I started doing research on it is Apple really does approach it from a hardware, bake it into the device, a device-centered approach. Whereas Google was born in the cloud and they very much approach it from a policy and a add-on approach. Not saying one's better than the other. Apple's a lot worse than a lot of people think they are. Google's a lot better than a lot of people think they are when it comes to privacy. But I do think it was interesting. One of the things the other day that one of these stupid LinkedIn professional voice things that I answered, it had some question about GDPR and privacy. I don't even remember what it was. But I do remember that my response is GDPR is not about privacy. GDPR is about data protection. And even though the two are not interchangeable.
Oh, you've done it. You've done it,
Right?
Paul.
Took 4.5 years, but yes.
But I think it had something to do with something being addressed, tracking. I said, and with that being said, even though the two terms are not actually interchangeable, they are interchangeable in a practical effect in most daily parlance that we approach it. However, tracking is covered under the e-privacy directive, people, not the GDPR.
Mhm.
So I think what surprised me is the visibility. Y'all can stop it. Y'all can stop it all. It is more visible. It seems silly to say privacy is more visible, but the topic, the need, the criticality of it is much more visible across more countries, across more products, across more data, across more lawmakers and enforcers and regulatory agencies. I mean, here in the U.S., we have the New York Department of Financial Services. Not a surprise. It started being very active many, many years ago, but now has its cybersecurity incident response requirements, which they've updated. The SEC now requires companies to report material cybersecurity incidents. Now, to be fair, some of the biggest strides we're seeing are coming around cyber security and not around data privacy. I don't want to say data protection, and that may because cybersecurity would roll into protection. But regardless, once again, we in privacy are seeing security getting the bigger piece of the ball, and we're left with the rebound. But it's okay. We have the opportunity for the rebound, and from all people's perspective, maybe not all, we actually will make the
So while we
3-point
come
shot
up
from
to the end of the recording already, time flies when having fun.
No.
What is the one
Just
thing
refuse.
What's the one thing you're most disappointed about in the past 4.5 years? And Kay, for you, it's ending this recording already now. Other than that,
Most disappointing thing for me is not having a strong U.S. privacy law. Now, you didn't say most unsurprising, but most disappointing is I would have thought the U.S. would have stepped up and passed a strong omnibus privacy law at this point.
Marie?
For me, it's just that it has been in effect for so long. Effectively, we're working day in, day out with the topic, and there's still people who are getting you the same questions and the same interrogations, and you're like, how do I still have to explain that to you?
I
6
didn't care
years
about
in.
data protection. I've got nothing to hide. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, right?
I didn't care about freedom of speech. I got nothing to say.
Or show, or do, or be.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear that. The same myths that we were dealing with,
Yeah.
pre-X myths that we were dealing with, back in 2015, 2016, we're still having to answer today. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, GDPR is 7 years old. Can I calculate? 6 years old. GDPR is 6 years old.
8.
8?
Or 8, depending on how you count.
I was
Yeah.
splitting it.
27th of April, 2016, right?
Something like that. May 25th, but okay.
No, I mean, for me, my disappointment is actually the governmental attitudes that we're now
Yeah.
starting to see the same questions we looked at all the way through the late 90s with the encryption wars, which is security beats liberty, right? Whereas I think you can have both. I think it is a
Yeah.
false dichotomy. And, we're seeing it even in the EU now with the communications interception and, think of the children and, child sexual abuse material and, which is a secondary harm to actually taking it in the first place, might add, it's dissemination. And so, the idea of scanning everybody's, looking, I always say if you're looking for a needle in a haystack, scanning a bigger haystack, not your answer, right? So yeah, it's the governmental attitude of, a safe and secure society, so shouts Emperor Palpatine as the first galactic empire comes into view, right? So
You knew that had to happen, Paul.
Of course. Well, for me, the most disappointing thing of these past 4.5 years is the complete lack of transparency where it comes to the authority. Because there is tons of enforcement taking place behind the scenes with warning letters, with phone calls, with education sessions. There are lots of decisions being taken that are never published. And I don't complain that the decisions are not being taken, but the underlying interpretation of the legislation, whether that is here in Europe or in any other country that has a data protection authority, I do think that's regrettable because there is so much we can learn from all of that.
Let us
explain the
see
law.
why the
because
decision you're making.
there are so many similar cases that especially small and mid-sized companies would be facing. They would be helped if there was just a better public register of all these decisions and why certain decisions were taken.
I tell you what, I love this week, not to end on a downer, the Irish DPC put out their annual report this year, and it's a whopper of an annual report, but it's got some fantastic case studies and enforcement in it and the reasons why they made their decisions. It's a brilliant annual report. Go and read it. Superb.
It's not a downer.
Well, on that happy note, no, that's a happy note. And on that happy note, we'll wrap up 200 episodes of Serious Privacy.
Woo-hoo!
So, as always, we'd love for you to join the conversation on LinkedIn. You'll find us under Serious Privacy. You will find Kay on social media as Heart of Privacy, myself as Paul B. You'll find Ralph at IGR O'Brien. And Marie, you don't find at all, I believe.
You don't find me. Just find me under my name.
You'll find Marie Pinot under Marie Pinot.
Marie Pinot.
And that wraps up 200 episodes. Until next week and the next 200. Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
That was Serious Privacy.
If you're a data protection or privacy professional, you already know the pressure. Non-stop regulatory change, AI oversight, internal demands, and the expectation to somehow stay ahead of it all. And the old patchwork of tools just isn't cutting it anymore.
No. That's why TrustArc created a modern privacy management platform powered by Arc Intelligence. The TrustArc platform brings your workflows, evidence, research, tasks, and applications all together in one unified and intelligent workspace so you don't waste time digging, clicking, or context switching.
With Ask Arc, your privacy assistant, you can ask plain language questions about laws, jurisdictions, or even your own program data and get credible, cited answers based on NIMBY research and more than 1,000 global laws. It's explainable, transparent, and purpose-built for data protection and privacy.
So if you need to add a vendor, create a cookie banner, or start an assessment, quick actions take formally complex tasks, turn them into bite-sized guided workflows to save you time.
It's a platform that thinks like you, works like you, and helps you move faster with confidence, whether you're a seasoned DPO or you're just getting started.
See how modern privacy gets done. Explore Arc at trustarc.com/serious-privacy. That's trustarc.com/serious-privacy.